Evening, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order at 4:05 p.m. Adoption of the agenda.
The West Elgin Council hereby adopts the regular council agenda for May 8th, 2025 as presented.
A mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Disclosure of any pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Seeing nothing. So, number 4, public meeting.
That West Elgin Council hereby proceed into a public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act.
Mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. A zoning amendment. Mr. Robert Brown, planner. Can you take it from there, please?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. Good evening again to everybody. The application that's before you today is located at 172 and 174 Jane Street. Currently, these lands are zoned residential second density R2. This one too is a somewhat unusual application coming forward. The reason for it is back prior to 2022, there was some ongoing correspondence with the owner at the time and a planner that was in place at that time, that it had been realized that the zoning that was transferred from the former Rodney bylaw into the current West Elgin bylaw had actually not been done correctly. The zoning that was originally on the property did allow for the each of the 4-unit dwellings that are on the property, fourplexes are on the property. The R2 zoning does not allow for that. The correspondence also mentioned that a correction would be undertaken through a housekeeping amendment. Unfortunately, there has been no housekeeping amendments coming forward in the last 2 to 3 years. Not because there aren't probably a couple items to address, one namely being our additional dwelling unit policies, but just simply we currently, because of the OP review just having been completed, our next step is a full review of the zoning bylaw, and there wasn't any sort of real time-sensitive issues until this item came forward. Needed correction. So the option obviously was to wait and correct things from a housekeeping standpoint, or bring a standalone amendment forward to correct the issue. Because the owner was undergoing some reconfiguration on this property, and amalgamating the 2 lots that are there now into a single lot. It was going to be necessary to address the zoning as part of that undertaken from R2, its current R2 to R3 allowing for both of the fourplexes that are on the property. There's no other changes being proposed other than the change from R2 to R3. All of the other zoning provisions remain in place, and will continue to do so moving forward. There's no planned changes of the development on the site. If there were, there could be the possibility for additional amendment, variances, and if they put any more than 2 additional units on the property, it will trigger site plan control to have to go through and review. There's been no indication that the purpose of this is any additional development. It's simply to correct what was in place prior to the shift from the former bylaw to the current bylaw. So unless there's questions from members of the public or council, that is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions from council? Seeing none. Questions from the public? Seeing none. Could I have the recommendation, please?
The West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robert Brown, planner, regarding zoning bylaw amendment application D14 2-2025, Recommendation Report, Planning Report 2025-08, and that West Elgin Council approve the correction of the zoning of the lands at 172 and 174 Jane Street by rezoning the lands from residential second density R2 to residential third density R3 zone in accordance with the attached draft zoning bylaw. And further, that West Elgin Council consider the bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw as presented in the bylaw portion of the May 8th, 2025 council agenda.
Move it, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. Next is delegations, but 5.1, it's a motion to suspend the rules, allowing 30 minutes for delegation.
Pursuant to Section 3.5 of Bylaw 2024-05, Procedural Bylaw, any part or parts of this bylaw may be suspended by a vote with the consent of council members present, unless the parts are described by statute or law. The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby suspend the rules of Bylaw 2024-05, Section 6.8, allowing delegation Matt Vaughn, County of Elgin, a maximum of 30 minutes for the purpose of a presentation regarding Elgin County Planning Shared Services.
Move it, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried. Welcome, Matt Vaughan, Director of Planning and Development, County of Elgin Planning.
Hello.
If you would carry on, please.
Thanks very much. I have prepared a short presentation for today. Council may find it a little familiar. So I'm here just to give council an update with how the Central Planning Services is going currently with the county. Just to give you an update on some of the policy changes that we've made, some efficiencies that we've been able to find over the last, half year since we've been getting the program up and running. Next slide, please. So just to go over some of the goals of our central planning system, the methodology of a phase plan, a review. I don't know if this is our, I don't think this is the right presentation. Because this is talking about Southwold. You know what, why don't we probably don't need to show the rest of this because I'm guessing this isn't the correct presentation, but I can just speak to my slide here in front of me. Which is the correct presentation. So,
Send your presentation.
You know what? I can just give a verbal update. It's pretty straightforward. Really, it's just today's idea is to provide a little bit of an update, like I said, with how things are going, which LNPs we've onboarded. I'm going to talk a little bit about pre-consultation and how that's changed. Talk a little bit about our fee update and some additions that we've made at the county and some recommendations for how fees could work here in West Elgin. I'll talk a little bit about our development information group that we've put together and how communication from the county to our development industry is going. Talk a little bit about future efficiencies in terms of policy review, and then there'll be a little bit of time just at the end for questions. I'm guessing I'll need only about 10 or 15 minutes. So the good news is the county's central planning service is up and running. It's going quite well. So far, we have been providing planning services to Dutton Dunwich for about a month and a half, and recently we've taken on Southwold as well and are helping them with their planning services. We've adopted a new program or software to help in terms of time tracking. It's called Harvest, and it makes our time tracking, increments of up to a quarter hour. And then the nice thing about it is it really helps us track our metrics. So it allows us to show our LMPs exactly what we're working on, how much time it's taking us. And then we're providing the two LMPs that we're currently working with monthly reports and with monthly invoicing, which is nice for them just to keep ourselves and them on track and on budget. one of the things that we've introduced at the county level that we're trickling over into the LMPs that we're helping is a new pre-consultation process. We can't require pre-consultation anymore like it used to be required. It's more strongly advised for applicants to go through pre-consultation, because through that process they find out exactly what they need in terms of a complete application. So we have strongly, encouraged applicants to use that as they move through the consent application process. That is resulting in very few consent applications coming in that we aren't able to support. We're able to tell people exactly what we're able to support through the policy framework ahead of time, let them know what they need in terms of application completeness, and then applications are coming in and they're moving through that process quite quickly and efficiently. That's something that we're hoping to bring to our LMPs, is a consistent approach with how we do pre-consultation. So we've recently started to adopt a similar process for both Dutton Dunwich and with Southold. And the nice thing about that is the applicants who work in both places are starting to get some consistency in how planning is being done in those two places. And it's something that we're looking forward to bringing to the remainder of the county. In terms of fee updates, so this past year, the county has updated our planning fee structure. We went out and we looked at planning fees across, rural Ontario to see where the county's planning fees sat. Not surprisingly, they were quite low. We did a similar analysis with all of the LMPs within the county as well. And again, not surprisingly, they're quite low. The downside to having low planning fees is that at the end of the day, it's very hard to get cost recovery in terms of paying for those planning services and in your departments. So county council recognized those deficiencies, and with some changes to our fees and charges bylaw, we've recently updated those fees. We're implementing them over a 3-year time, so it's not such a dramatic change. So this year we're implementing a 50% increase, and we'll increase that up to 100% over the next couple of years. But those changes are going to help us to really pay for the resources that are needed in our department in order to provide sort of quick, efficient planning service at the county level. The nice thing is the base team that we've been able to create at the county level is also providing some service to the LMPs as well. And we're finding sort of where that service level point is right now with 2 LMPs. We have a consultant that we have on retainer as well that we've been able to use where things start to get a little too busy. We can kind of use the consultant to help us sort of ease that pressure. And then eventually, as we build a business case to where we're taking on more and more work, that's where we'll start to staff up. Eventually hiring more planners, another senior planner, really start focusing on the policy side of planning. So that's something that we can see moving forward for our team and for the county as we develop our department. One of the other recent changes that we've adopted is the creation of a development information group. So at the direction of County Council and our new county strategic plan, we are looking for ways to be able to communicate better with our development industry. So in the middle of April, we had our first meeting where we invited our members of our LMPs, other commenting agencies such as CAs or conservation authorities, our school boards, anyone who is involved in providing comments to our development industry. And then we also invited our consultants, our developers, our builders to join that meeting as well. And it's really been sort of a good experience. We're exchanging information, so we're providing information to the industry about policy changes that we're making, about improvements to roads, improvements to economic development programs that they can utilize to help build and develop throughout the county. And we're hearing from them about what kinds of changes that they're looking for and the kind of information that they want to be provided with at the next meeting. Our plan is to have these meetings probably around 4 times a year. Our next meeting is planned for the end of September. And like I said, the more involvement we can get across the county to provide these kinds of updates to our development industry, the more we can keep everybody up to date. I think the more smooth development will occur in the county and across our LMPs. Some future efficiencies that we're looking at, and one coming up relatively soon for next Tuesday is our severance applications. So currently, the way severance or consent land division works is it's the approval authority rests with the county. So there's a land division committee that hears all land division applications. Staff have gone out. We've looked at other two-tier systems, and surprisingly, we're one of the few two-tier systems in rural Ontario where 100% of our land division applications are going to a land division committee. A lot of those other municipalities or counties are using delegated authority, where they delegate the authority for approval to staff for non-contentious land division applications. So things that already meet the policy, things that aren't upsetting neighbors, where there's no concerns from the LMPs or the commenting agencies, those applications can be approved very quickly through staff approval. And then where an application doesn't meet some of the policies or is contentious because maybe there's a neighbor disagreement, those would then go to a land division committee meeting. So this is something that will, if approved, it would save not just the applicant time, but it would save the county time and land division committee time. So it's something that we see being a real positive in the county. So that is being presented to County Council on Tuesday. Another idea we have and that we've been discussing with the LMP planning departments or their consultants is the idea of having one official plan. So currently there are 7 different official plans across the county at each LMP, and then the county has an official plan itself. An option could be for us to look at creating one official plan in the future. So rather than everybody having to go through conformity exercises, which are very timely and costly, we could create one official plan that could wrap up everybody's policies in one document. We could create schedules so that each of the locals has their own unique policies that could apply to specific areas of their jurisdiction so that we could maintain that self-identity of those areas as well. So the idea is not to create too much uniformity, but to create a document that's easy to use and everyone can kind of refer to, and updating it would be a lot easier and a lot less costly. Some of the things that we have started out with and where we are now in terms of a planning service. So we started off by going out and trying to figure out how much it was going to cost to provide planning services to each of our LMPs. Originally, we were looking at a flat fee, and how that flat fee was derived was speaking with your current planning departments or your planning consultants. We took in information like how many, inquiries you get a day, or how many minor variances or zoning bylaw amendments, or any of those kinds of planning applications that are received by the municipality. And then we figured out roughly how much time it would take for us to do it. You multiply that by the wage of the type of planner who would be working on that application, and eventually you do the math and you figure out what the flat fee should be. That's how we had come up with the flat fees originally. When Southwold and Dunwich came on board, we offered a by the hour fee, and that by the hour fee is actually, it turned out to be great. I think some of the information that we were receiving from some of the consultants or from the departments may have exaggerated some numbers a little bit, and that's fine. Or it could have been busier at the time, I'm not sure. But what we're finding with some of the municipalities that we're working with now is the number by the hour is much lower than what we had anticipated with the flat fee. So I think moving forward with a flat fee or sorry, a by the hour rate is much more advantageous, and it's something that we would offer to West Elgin as well, if you would consider having the planning team provide planning services here. And I think using it would save some money in the future. And then, you were just paying for exactly what you're using. The other part is we're providing monthly billing. So, we would use probably that flat rate as an item to at least budget for. And then so far, we've been quite a bit under that budget. So far, so good. I'm happy to answer any questions as it relates to billing or how that would be resolved in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to give you an update with that because I know it has been a question.
Questions from council? Councillor Statham.
Thank you very much, Matt. That's great. Thank you. Through the chair, I had two concerns, questions. First was when you were talking about the fee increases, you mentioned 50% moving on to 100%. So are you able to kind of elucidate a little bit why fees would double over a short term? I mean, that seems like a lot of an increase. And I understand you said that the fees were low,
Yeah.
but from our perspective, I mean, you're doubling the fees. So if you could comment on that, and then I do have one follow-up question. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you an example using land division because land division is probably the easiest one. Originally, I think our application fee for land division was something in the area of $1,200 or $1,300. That doesn't cover our costs. So every time there was a land division application, by the time staff had processed it, the common agencies had spent the time on it, you go through your clearing of conditions, it was costing the municipality and the county money for each and one of those applications. So that means that it's costing your tax base money for other people to process their applications. So we went through and tried to figure out, okay, well, how much staff time is being spent on that? And when we figured out how much time was being spent on it and then compared it with other municipalities, we realized, wow, these fees are quite low. And where the number should have been for land division is something in the area of $5,000 for a planning fee. So $1,200 to $5,000 is quite the leap. So in order to make it a little not as big of a jump, we thought, okay, well, we'll try to implement that over a 3-year period. So 50% to start, and then 75, and then 100. So this year the fees around $2,400. Next year it bounces up to around 37 or 38, and then in year 3 we're up to 5,000. And then at that point we analyze the fee. We analyze our time. Are we still spending the same amount of time? If the answer is yes, we track inflation. We just make sure that what we're collecting represents the actual amount of time being spent so that at the end of the day, it's not the taxpayer spending their money on other people getting their applications processed. I'll add that with the idea of having staff delegated authority for non-contentious consent applications, there's opportunity in there to probably save some money as well as time. So one of the things that we want to look at after that's been implemented for a little while is, are we saving time? Because if we're saving time, we're saving money. And if we're saving money, we probably don't need to have the fee jump up that high. So while we're projecting to have the application fees go to a certain rate, we're going to look at that. We're going to make sure that we're not just putting fees up for the sake of putting fees up. We're going to make sure that we're actually spending the time so that the money is actually being spent on the staff time.
Thank you. That makes sense to me. Thank you, Matt. The second question I had was regarding the hourly billing versus the flat fee billing. Working in an industry where we operate hourly, and as well as a flat fee billing, I feel like the hourly billing protects the organization that's doing the work and not the customer. And I just wanted to make sure that when the flat fees are being assessed, that they're being assessed correctly, and that reflects what work is being done. Am I making sense?
Yeah, and I think that's why we've
Staff efficiency comes into it, and
Yeah.
like the efficiency of the employees and what they're doing, and then what they're doing in the supervision and so on and so forth. So, thanks.
Yeah, we've heard those concerns from other LMPs as well. And the concern was more the end fee. The flat fee was, when we did the math, it ended up being quite high. And most of that cost is actually borne in answering planning inquiries and in some of the administrative work, because some of the LMPs do require administrative help as well as planning help. So that was factored into the fee. But what we're finding now that we're taking in inquiries for 2 of our LMPs, one of them is much less than what we were anticipating. So we were anticipating 5 inquiries a day. It's been about 1 or 2 a week. For one of the other municipalities, again, 5 a day, it's more like 1 or 2 a day. So those costs, are, if we had to redo the flat rate, it would probably be less based on what we're getting, because this is the busy time of year in terms of getting inquiries and all those kinds of things. So I think the hourly rate is good. It reflects exactly what's being done. I like the idea of doing monthly billing because it keeps everybody accountable. And you have the ability to look at the books and say, okay, there was a big spike here. What's with the spike? In addition to putting our time in, we're also putting some data about what that time is for. So it actually goes in to say, like, this is for this application or this application type, or we received an inquiry. Some inquiries take a little longer than others. Why are we taking a little longer on that inquiry than something else? So we're going into some of those details, which is nice. So again, I like the hourly billing. It provides a little bit more clarity about what's going on. You're paying exactly what is being used or what's being provided. Ultimately, it would be nice to go to a payment on the levy, and I think that it is something that we can work towards. The more of our LMPs we get on board, I think once we have the majority of the LMPs on board, if that is the decision of those LMPs, then I think looking at the levy as a payment option is a lot more viable.
Yeah, just one question, quickly. If down the future, if most municipalities went with yourself, what would, I realise you'd have to put more staff on for one thing, but I'm looking, if you happen to become at the end of the list, how long are you anticipating that we'd have to wait before we could get a service?
If West Elgin were to choose to start using the planning service from the county, you would come on board right away. We will.
Excuse me, what I meant was, if there was a lot of municipalities with you,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah.
And we put in that we needed your service.
Yeah.
Are we going to have to wait 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks? Or,
Oh, I see. Well, the nice thing is all Planning Act applications, well, nice or not nice, has very specific time requirements. So once an application is received, the clock starts to tick. So an application has to be processed and a decision has to be made within a certain time frame. So the nice thing is everybody would receive the exact same service. More by necessity than anything else, but everybody receives the same service. If you join on late, that shouldn't affect when you receive that service. Everybody should be receiving the same service. Like I said, we have sort of the base team put together now. We are doing everything we can to keep up with the workload for the 2 LMPs that we have. Just recently, we've decided, okay, we need to pull in our consultant just a little bit. If we need to keep pulling in the consultant, and if I build a business case, okay, well, I could use another permanent planner. That's when we'll come back to county council and say, you know, we're spending this amount of money on a consultant in order to keep up with demand. It's time for us to staff up a little bit. The idea is for us to have a planning team that provides first-class service to all of the LMPs who are involved all the time.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions from council? Yes, councillor Statham.
Just one, I'm so sorry, Mr. Mayor. Through
it's
you. Just one final question about the hourly billing. I just wondered if you have statistics based on the average application, how long that typically takes in terms of the number of staff, the amount of staff time that goes into it, and if that's something that you can provide to us in advance of us, making any decisions or anything like that. Just so that we have a benchmark, so we can say, okay, this type of application takes X hours, and then we can then compare that to what we're actually being billed and make a determination from there on whether we're saving money with that model or not.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we originally developed the flat fee, that's part of the math that we had to do is here's the type of application, here's how long it should roughly take. And we're using all of the time. So from the time that, our pre-consultations coming in to the time the application is being submitted, circulated, a report being written, coming here for a presentation. If it's requires any follow-up, that site visits, you have to consider the whole sort of breadth of how much time you're spending on all those applications. So that's all been factored into those numbers. We've done that for West Elgin, and I'm happy to share that information.
Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate it.
Further questions? Yes, Councillor, Deputy Mayor Tellier.
Thank you, through the chair. Not a criticism at all, but just something I've just noticed. We are having something came from our municipality for a gas station, and it took a really long time for the planner to come back. And I'm just kind of more to the question and just more clarification that Mayor Leatham had here. What is the expected turnaround for something commercial like that? What does that look like?
Well,
For a layperson that's not involved with planning.
so the Planning Act allows you 60 days from the time a site plan application is submitted until a decision is made on it. So ideally, 60 days is the amount of time that it should take to do a site plan application. It may require some land use policy approvals as well. I'm not sure in that particular case if it did. If it did, it may take a little longer because of zoning bylaw amendment, you have to make a decision in about 90 days. So there's timeframes with all of those things. The more robust your pre-consultation process is, the more people understand what they need to submit to have a complete application, the better. So that's why we strongly encourage people to still go through that process so that when they submit their application's complete, we circulate it, everybody's happy with what's been circulated, and we can move right into approval or right into scheduling an application to come to council. The downside with some people not wanting to go through pre-consultation is they'll submit an application, it gets reviewed, these things are missing, it goes back and forth so many times. Every time it goes back, the clock resets, that 60 days resets. So yeah, it comes down to really doing a lot of that work up front before the clock starts, and then hopefully we go real quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you want.
Anyone else? Well, thank you very much for your presentation. I think everybody's had a good listen and would inwardly digest. So I thank you for that.
All right, you're welcome.
You want to?
Do you need a,
Hmm?
do you need a break or do you want to keep going?
Yeah, no, we'll keep going for a minute too, right? Okay, so I'm going to go to 6, adoption of the minutes.
That West Elgin Council hereby adopt the minutes of April 24th, 2025 as presented.
Move, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. Business arising from the minutes. Seeing none. So we go to staff reports. Wastewater. Planning to present. Robert? Brown Planner, could you please take us from there on the wastewater treatment plant?
Yes. Sorry, I forgot about that one. Yeah, this report was brought forward to council for the purpose of kind of highlighting where we're at in terms of wastewater service. We've had quite a few inquiries over the last 2 or 3 years with our official plan updates. We've had a number of interested parties in lands that are currently designated and either were pending inclusion in the settlement area or currently in the settlement area. So it started to kind of raise, I don't want to say a concern, but just something that needed to be monitored as to where we were at in terms of capacity in both the Rodney plant and the West Lorne plant. So we've taken a look at that and provided some numbers. Rodney right now is at 207. However, that is less some existing developments that have either developed in West Lorne and both Rodney. So those are coming out of that total. I believe that brings us down to about 135 is what you could consider uncommitted capacity in the Rodney plant. It's 135 dwellings. And then in the West Elgin plant, we have a bit more. We're just shy of 300, but we have considerably more interest. We don't have quite as many sort of active approvals. We do have some townhouse development that's occurred there that would reduce that a little bit. We do have others. Creek's Edge would probably be the most notable and forms of single detached dwellings, which is right now at about 66 lots, but hasn't proceeded forward. We've also had some other ones come on, show interest. I'll put it that way, in lands that are in there, and we also have some other ones that are active. So we're getting to a point that obviously not all of these are going to develop overnight. It's going to take some time. We're not going to go from issuing, somewhere between 5 and 10 new housing permits to issuing 50 or 60. That would be nice, certainly to see that growth, but kind of based on the numbers right now, anyways, it would be hard to see that dramatic a jump. What this is highlighting, though, is that in order to continue to support development moving forward down the road, we are going to have to start looking at upgrades to both plants, one of the plants. There's also been some discussions with, or could be some discussions, I should say, with our neighbors, Dutton Dunwich, who currently right now have a moratorium on development because of a lack of sanitary capacity. The reason why the sort of the coordinated effort here is being raised is it's my understanding that the funding source for a lot of this obviously comes from the provincial or federal governments. They are indicating that they want to see municipalities look at some creative solutions, and one of those creative solutions is to share services, whether that can entail a bunch of different scenarios, upgrading one of the newest plants and then force maining sewage back from the other two municipalities, or building new plants. There's a lot of different options. Basically, what happens is, in order to determine that, you have to do what they call modeling, which looks at different solutions, looks at where you're at now, what your capacity is, what the potential costs are for upgrading existing plants, what their age and condition is, how, can they be upgraded? Is that the most inexpensive solution? Is it better to build one new plant and service 2 or 3 different communities? There's lots of different models that can be looked at. So what sort of the outcome of this report is suggesting to council that in order to stay ahead of pending development and not sort of get caught in a situation where we have to tell developers that, no, we can't approve your development or even really look at it because we just don't have sanitary sewer capacity. We're looking for direction from council to explore the modeling, have a consultant undertake modeling in this area, and possibly work in conjunction with Dutton Dunwich to look at different solutions to get us to keep us ahead of the curve and be ready not only to upgrade, but more importantly to submit funding application requests and make sure that those funding requests are framed in such a way that they're hopefully successful. No guarantee, obviously, but the more information that we can provide and the better picture we can paint, the better opportunity it gives us when those opportunities come forward. So I'll pass that back to you if you have any questions on this and what needs to be done going forward.
Okay, thank you very much. I was really quite surprised to hear that updates on both sewerage, Rodney and West Lawn. As West Lawn, as you well know, has been upgraded quite recently. So I'm really surprised that we have to go there again. I understand Rodney really does need it, and it's been, it's going to be done. We all know that. But I'm really surprised that we're already upgrading something we just paid for.
Good, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And staff might be able to correct me. I believe that what we had completed at our West Lauren plant was just a refurbishment, just to bring it up to date, but it did not provide access capacity. So we were not adding additional capacity to our plant. All we were doing was upgrading it to make sure it was working efficiently.
Okay, so if that's the case, then when Rodney's updated, it should have more capacity.
No, it's also, these are just to update the facilities to make sure they're up to today's standards and that they're running effectively. However, the work that we're having completed is not an upgrade to the plant, meaning we're expanding capacity at the plant. We are just making them more efficient in how they are functioning today.
Okay, I understand that now, but that still doesn't
Does not help us.
doesn't help us one little bit.
Yeah.
Councillor Denning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Robert, for the presentation. So what you're sort of looking for or suggesting is that if we were to explore a partnership with an adjacent municipality, a neighboring municipality, similar in fashion to Tri-County Water, which is a plant that's owned by us and Dutton Dunwich, Southwest Middlesex, Newbury, and Chatham-Kent, the more of a team effort that can be applied to an infrastructure project, the more likely it is that the province is going to look at that project and be more comfortable in funding it. Is that a fair summary?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Denning's question, that's exactly it. It's quite simply, the funding sources are looking for bang for their buck. So if you have, 2 or 3 different municipalities that are servicing a larger population that are supporting a larger amount of growth. If you said that, you're going to spend X number of dollars on upgrading, and that's going to support 2,500 houses in the future, that certainly looks a lot better than we're upgrading the plant and we're going to support 300 or 400 houses in the future. So yeah, it's all about framing and making it look like or not making it look like, but just presenting a case that is going to be good investment of provincial and federal infrastructure dollars that are going to service a larger area, larger population, and help support added housing growth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions? Yeah. Councillor Statham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. I completely understand where this is coming from, and I get the concept. Robert, I guess I just wanted to be clear on a couple points. You said that West Elgin and Rodney, between the two of them, we have approximate capacity for an additional 500 homes, 300 in West Elgin and 200 in Rodney, roughly. Is that correct?
135.
Oh,
Total right now is about 496, and we're probably, once you start taking out either developments that have already developed, like I said, in Rodney, we're from 207 to 135. In West Elgin, we're just sort of doing some quick arithmetic here. Less what we've already kind of had come online. Probably between the two, although we are at around the 500 mark, you're probably based on built or approved and potentially ready to go, you're more down towards the 300 mark between the two plants.
okay, perfect. So we have the capacity outside of what's currently being built and so on and so forth. We have the capacity for around 300 dwellings. And Dutton Dunwich currently has the capacity for 0. So I guess the reason I bring this up is just that I would hope that the report is clear that this needs to be beneficial for West Elgin and not just for Dutton Dunwich is my concern. That if we're gonna, and I understand the concept fully, that we're much more likely to get grants, we're much more likely to be supported by the provincial and federal governments. But I also want to make sure that this is beneficial for West Elgin, not just Dutton Dunwich, because it sounds to me that Dutton Dunwich needs this a whole lot more than West Elgin does. So, perhaps that's a way that we can, yeah. Sorry.
The CAO.
If
want
I
to
may.
Make a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Councillor Statham. When I approached Robert about putting the numbers in front of you, is that we are aware of, and it did, part of it came from when we went to Roma this year and we were talking about our infrastructure and we started to look at what is our infrastructure, what can it support, knowing both what was already in the planning stage, but then also what were those lands that had some speculation, some tire kicking, and that we're hearing. And we started to see that if those really did start to lead off, particularly in Rodney, where there's potential for a subdivision plan. Here, there's been lots of talks about various plans that were going on that we were going to be utilizing those units quite quickly. When we were approached by Dutton Dunwich about, do we have capacity, because they too were asked to look at their neighboring municipalities. It was our concern that, well, if we provide this capacity to them, how fast are we utilizing our own? And how are we preparing for the next steps? Wastewater treatment plants are not going to go up overnight. Where our concern is, we need to start having the conversations of how are we planning for today and how are we planning for tomorrow, and what does that best model look like? And so, yes, meeting West Elgin's needs is front and center in what we need to do. But for us to make applications, for us to be able to support, here's how we're going to grow in the future, we need to have those plans in place. And we need to be able to showcase whether it's more financially advantageous for us or for both of us to be upgrading our existing plants, or is it more advantageous for us to put in a new plant when we so need it, or when Dutton needs it, and we know that we would then be accessing that and overflow would be directed there. So this is just trying to make sure that we're ahead of the game, but also being supportive to our neighbors at the same time, understanding any application that goes into the province. More points are given to those that show higher levels of density or servicing to housing. So they want to see the best bang for their buck. They are also wanting to see that you are doing coordination with either at a regional level or a shared service level, particularly for small municipalities. What we've heard back from the provinces, there are 444 municipalities in this province. Majority of those are at the door asking for infrastructure dollars. And we need to be able to showcase what we are doing to making ourselves the best community to step forward, and that's showcasing how we're looking at creative solutions. So I hope that answers your question as to why this is coming forward and why we were trying to get this in front of council's attention. It's being proactive. Do we need it tomorrow? Maybe not. Do we need it in a couple of years? Probably so, but we're planning out for the couple of years.
That's great, Robin. Thank you. I think I agree with you 100%, and I think it's good to have a long-term plan. I just want to make sure that, to your point, that the concerns of West Elgin are at the forefront and not on the back burner. So thank you very much.
If I might, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, carry on.
Thank you. And I believe if council could read into the report or has seen in the report, Robert did make notion that one of the things we also would be exploring is an allocation bylaw, because we do have existing properties now that we have committed to saying, yes, we have capacity for whenever you're wanting to build. However, we aren't in charge of that timeline. And so a developer, a builder may hold, and we're holding 10, 12, 15 units. And then we have new develop wanting to come in and we say we're near capacity. So we may explore an allocation bylaw that puts time limits saying we will hold this for a duration of time because Mr. Smith down the street is ready to go and we need to make sure we have access and space for them.
I'm so sorry. Just one more follow-up question. Is this a project, when we're looking at wastewater treatment plant upgrades, is this a project that development charges would assist with covering the cost of? I know that we recently instituted them. Is that something that this would assist with? Because I know that was a problem in Dutton Dunwich.
I'm looking at Robert if he wants to speak to it. I myself, yes, this is why we have growth pay for growth. However, because both Dutton Dunwich and ourselves, the county, many small municipalities have not implemented development charge. I know that's a narrative across the province, where development charges are being perceived of having large reserves, and some communities do because they are growing so fast. Those reserves help to pay for your wastewater, for your infrastructure, but also your soft infrastructure like your libraries and your rec facilities, things that make places more than just a house, it makes it a home. This would help to support, though I'd have to look to the treasurer if she'd be able to let you know what our reserve is. My understanding, it is quite low because you only implemented a development charge in the last year.
Thank you very much. No other questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? Yes.
One more, if I
Councillor
may, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much. This one's for Robert. So Robert, obviously there's been more demand in the last couple of years and more interest in potentially developing in our community. And I know that we have some standby developments that have gone through the approval process, but we're just sort of waiting. So is there a timeline? So and what I'm getting at here is if somebody else comes forward in the next little while, interested in developing, interested in taking advantage of that existing capacity, are we handcuffed into just waiting for another development to decide that the time is right for them 4 years, 5 years, 6 years down the road? Or is there a function or a lever that resets that so that we can transfer that capacity to another builder?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the question, that's an excellent question. That's probably the trickiest one to answer. And part of the reason, and I thank the CAO for reminding me of the allocation component. That is one of the rationales behind having an allocation bylaw. Right now, we are, as you mentioned, somewhat handcuffed by certain developments. If we've entered into a development agreement with a developer, those are normally on a time frame of about 3 years. And in those agreements, there is language that says the municipality is committing to supply you with so many water connections, so many sanitary connections. There is a timeline on it, however, as long as they've entered into an agreement. Right now, we have about three developments who have gone through the council approval process, are ready to enter into a development agreement, but aren't pulling the trigger on that development agreement, which would then it would commit us, but it would also give them a definitive timeline. Right now, they don't have a timeline because they haven't pulled that trigger yet. And because of that, if we had an allocation bylaw in place, we could say, listen, you need to enter into your development agreement and commit through that, or we need to put you under the allocation bylaw and provide you with a timeline under which to develop. That is the one thing that challenges us on the planning side when you have one developer who's very eager to move forward tomorrow if he could, and you have other developers who are purchasing land simply for the purpose of adding value to that land and not necessarily doesn't necessarily have a timeline for when they want to develop, but they want to tie the property up with an approval. So right now we have a little bit of a mix of both. Some we have no timeline, some we do, and we do have the ability when those agreements come back for renewal to hold their feet to the fire and say, we're not going to renew your development agreement unless I shouldn't say your development agreement. We're not going to renew your draft plan approval unless you're going to give us a timeline, or enter into an allocation, be brought under the allocation bylaw. There's some other things we can discuss about that as well, but I probably a little premature for that. But yeah, we need to be able to provide, we need to have an answer for ourselves, but also give some assurance to the development community that if you want to develop, you better be ready to develop, not sit on it for several years before you decide to move forward.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Well, thank you, Robert, for your presentation. And could we have the recommendation, please?
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robert Brown, planner, on the current wastewater treatment capacity and growth in West Elgin, and that West Elgin Council directs administration to initiate the process to engage a consultant to undertake the necessary modeling to determine future wastewater treatment needs and to develop solution options to expand treatment capacity, including shared services with neighboring municipalities.
Mover, please. Councillor Denning. Seconded. Councillor Statham. All in favour? That's carried. We're now going to take a 5-minute break. Okay, we carry on with the meeting at 8.2. And it's building, the monthly building report, April 2025. Give all a chance to look at it. Any questions on it? Okay, so
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Corey Pemberton, Chief Building Official, regarding Building Department Summary Report for the month of April 2025.
mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried. So at 8.3, which is the fire. Monthly Fire Services Report, April 2025. Again, any comments? Okay, please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the monthly fire report for April 2025 from Jeff MacArthur, Fire Chief, for information purposes.
Mover, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, 8.4, municipal drains. 8.4.1, section 78, request for major improvement, Mills Drain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will speak to this one. So this is just another request that has come in for a Section 78 municipal drain request for major improvement on the Hauser drain. Sorry, I've got it listed as Mills. So this is just requesting council's approval to move forward.
Okay, any questions on that? Could we have the recommendations after them, please?
You sure can. That West Elgin Council hereby receives the Section 78 notice of request for drain major improvement for the municipal drain known as the Mills Drain, and that council approved the request for the improvement of the Mills Drain dated April 23rd, 2025, submitted by Mike Simon, president of 10007288899 Ontario Inc., and that council hereby approves Spreets and Associates to proceed with the necessary actions pursuant to the Drainage Act.
Mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? That's carried. Oh, did you have something to say on that?
Just a quick point, just to be clear, we're talking about the Hauser drain, not the Mills.
The
drain.
mill, it is the
Yes,
Mills
the Mills
Drain.
Drain.
I'm sorry, yes.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
just-
I left Hauser in there from the previous, so
Yep.
I apologize.
Thank you. No, you're fine. Thank you.
Okay, 8.5, community service and clerks.
Thank-
Community grants update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm bringing this one back to council today. Looking for council's direction, we have some grant applications, a lot of them mostly in kind. but some events that are happening throughout the month of May and June. So I've attached a couple spreadsheets as well, as there was a Word document as well for the summary, just indicating which ones we were looking for approval for. So if you look at let me just pop back over there. The total is approximately $7,000. So that includes Dutton Dunwich. They've had 2 meetings so far. The West Elgin Community, Dutton Dunwich West Elgin Community Fund. Then there is also the Optimist Club of West Lorne. So approximately $320 out of their total that they've been requesting. The Mother's Day Road Race, which is this weekend. There's the Horticultural Society, which is having their annual plant and bake sale, I believe, at the Rodney Recreation Center next weekend. There's some various events from Tiny Tots Cooperative, which are all in kind rental fee waivers. The health center, none of those have been booked because they're not sure if they have the programming to go forward with it. And then also the West Lorne Community Horticultural Society is their annual plant and bake sale as well. The West Lorne and Community Horticultural for their planters, those will be underway very soon, if not already. Last year, we did a donation of $1,000 towards that. And then there's also a couple that have come in. There's the West Lorne Minor Hockey that is doing a cornhole tournament at the rec center. That is on June 7th. So that's a fee waiver of $550. And then there was a request. It does not quite meet the criteria. You'll see on the bottom one, it's a lady that is looking to do a art program at the Scout Hall, utilizing that every Saturday. So again, that's just getting council's direction if they're willing to do some fee waivers for that. So at the moment, we are just looking to get the approvals for May and June, and then we will bring that back when we progress with budget conversations for the remainder. I'm open to any questions or concerns from anybody from council.
Yes. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor, through the chair. So the one for the fencing, can that be included at this time, or is it for the Rodney Community Garden? Because she requested last year to have
Yeah,
it in
I can
place.
certainly add it on for this time. It didn't have a date on it, so I didn't have it on there. I didn't know if that was something that council wanted to put on right away. Some of them that didn't have dates on that, I didn't, or they were just listed as ongoing.
Background of that is she approached us, I want to say last fall, to have something in place in the fall. So it was already implemented for this spring, and they didn't have critters in there, so.
Yeah, so the quote, she did provide me with the quote, and I'll get an updated one because the quote, I believe, was dated the end of 2024. So I will have her submit an updated quote on that as well. So that would bring the total to approximately about $8,200 then of grants.
So I'm going to that fencing again. Is that fencing to fence the houses off?
Through the chair, the fencing is to, for the Rodney Community Garden, where the barns used to be, where we
Yep.
had the pool in that area. They had a lot of rabbits come in and different.
Oh, they want to put a finer fence
They
in.
want to put a finer fence
Okay,
in.
I
Just put
understand
I
that.
think they just want to line the current fence with it.
Yeah.
And they have the grunt work and people that want to do it. They just need help with the supplies. Is my understanding.
Yeah, okay, I understand now why they've asked. Any other questions?
Those rabbits.
Yes,
know,
those
yeah.
rascally rabbits, yeah.
Yeah, councillor Denny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Madam Clerk, when you say May and June, you want to get those in because some of them have dates and some of them don't. But regardless of the date, are we looking at just under $20,000 at this point of money requested for donations?
Correct. So you can see the total there listed under the total in kind was 16 and change. Funds requested, that's the total amount of dollars requested.
Thank you. And the in-kind donations, that is separate from the 20 that we typically provide and then the 10 we hold back for other contributions throughout the course of the year?
So my understanding of it, it is all grouped together. And I'll ask if our treasurer can just confirm this for me. So when those funds are allocated, they would be taken out of the grants and they would be allocated towards whichever that fund or that the hall rental, whichever may be. So if Magda could just clarify that.
Through the chair, so any monetary grants flow through our council grants account. Any in-kind requests, they're being recorded, but they're not being captured because it's non-financial amount. So, and it doesn't affect our budget.
Good. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Magda. So follow up on that then. Basically, we're at 20,000 and which would leave us 10,000 for the balance of the year for other incidental donations that may come up similar to last year. Is that correct?
That would be correct based on using the 30,000, if that's what council will move forward with this year, yes.
Then based on what I'm seeing in front of me, which is all the different organizations asking for donations, they are not individual private folk other than the lady looking to do some art classes.
Yes.
But that's an in-kind donation, so parking that for a second. All of the folks that have asked for a monetary contribution, they are all organizations or foundations in our community. It brings us to $19,000, $600, $400. They're under what we normally like to contribute at this time of the year. I'm good with what I'm seeing.
So just to clarify, is that for just the May and June, or you're good to move forward with all of the grants that have been?
I am good with moving forward with all of the grants as
With
is.
all, okay.
Any more further questions? Thank you. Is that okay, Magda? Yeah. Okay, can I have the recommendations for that then after, please?
So the amended recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Terry Toshchuk, Manager of Community Services Clerk, and that council hereby provide pre-budget approval for the 2025 community grant requests.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. We go to 8.6, Chief Administration Officer. Aqua Capital Projects. So CAO, Robin Greenwald, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to pull the report. I'm bringing a report forward to council at the request of our service manager, Aqua, for I believe it was West Lorne. I just need to find my report. It was West Lorne Wastewater Treatment Center. He is wanting to move forward with some capital projects that have already gone through in council's capital plan, waiting for finalization, of our 2025 budget. He is asking to proceed though with purchasing or getting these projects in place as we are in May. And he would like to make sure that we are making sure that these projects are completed by the end of the 2025 year. So the total amount has been identified earlier in council's capital plan is for $97,000.
Okay. Yes, Deputy Mayor Tellier.
Thank you, Mayor, through the chair. Thank you for the detailed report, and I am fine with going ahead with those at this time.
Okay, further questions? Yes, Councillor Denning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Madam CEO, the contribution towards the capital enhancements to Tri-County, that's our share, West Elgin share of that requested contribution?
This is wastewater.
Thank you very much. I stand corrected.
Confuses me as well.
Further questions? Okay, we'll go with the recommendation then, please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robin Greenall, CAO, and that West Elgin Council approves the capital spending of $97,000 as requested by the Ontario Clean Water Agency for necessary upgrades to the West Lorne Wastewater Treatment Plant.
Mover, Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. Okay, we go to 9, committee and board reports or updates. Have you all seen your list? Anybody want to talk on anything? Yes. Councillor Denning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the Bull Horvat Community Center Recreation Arena Committee, not Recreation, but Arena Committee, our hockey season and our skating season has come to an end. They were both successful seasons with little to no problems at all. A Zamboni breakdown halfway through the season, which was dealt with incredibly quickly. Thank you to the West Elgin staff for that. Numbers continue to grow in both programs, and just a big thank you to the organizers of West Elgin Minor Hockey and West Elgin Skating Club for their tireless amount of effort that they put forward to these programs, and just keep up the great work. And we're behind you 100%.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty dedicated people. But anything further? Deputy Mayor Tellier, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through the chair. Heritage Homes, we have a couple people that have been on the board for quite some time. So if anybody is looking for time to fill and volunteer, it is every fourth Monday at 1 p.m. at Heritage Homes here in West Lorne. And great group of people. And the meetings are extremely efficient, so it's not hours and hours of your time. So just looking to replace those people probably by the end of this year as their time on the board is coming to an end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything else? Oh. Notice of motion. None received. Council inquiries and announcements. Seeing none. Correspondence. At the County of Elgin. Have you got?
No, nope, they're all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so recommendation, please.
That West Elgin Council hereby receive and file all correspondence not otherwise dealt with.
Okay, mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. Items requiring council consideration. 13.1, special meeting of council, June the 5th, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This recommendation is just to schedule a special meeting on June 5th for the purpose of Ward 3 candidates. So the recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby schedule a special meeting of council on Thursday, June 5th, 2025 at 4:00 p.m. for the purpose of Ward 3 candidate interviews, and that a selection and appointment of Ward 3 councillor will be made on Thursday, June 12th, 2025 at the regular meeting of council.
Inquiries by council? No? Okay, we go ahead with that, could you? Pardon? Yeah. A mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried. Bylaws. Okay, 14.1, 2025-22. Dissolution of dissolution of ward system of electoral representatives. He's got the tongue tied again. Okay, we all know.
That bylaw 2025-22 being a bylaw to dissolve the ward system of electoral representation for the corporation of the municipality of West Elgin and institute an at-large system of electoral representation and repeal bylaw 99-53 be read a first, second, third, and final time.
Okay, mover. Councillor Statham, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. 14.2, 2025-23 zoning amendment. 172 and 174 Jane Street.
That bylaw 2025-23 being a bylaw to amend the Municipality of West Elgin Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw number 2015-36 for property at 172 and 174 Jane Street be read a first, second, third, and final time.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? That's carried. Thank you. And with that, we're going to move into a closed session.
That the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby proceeds into closed session at 5:24 PM to discuss three matters pursuant to the Municipal Act, Section 239(2). C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, Graham Road, West Lorne. B, personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, chief building official contract. And B, personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, unauthorized use, damage of municipal property.
Mover. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? That's carried. Okay, we'll reporting from close.
Reporting from closed session at 6:16 PM. Council received three items pursuant to the Municipal Act, Section 239(2). Council provided administrative direction where necessary, including the following recommendation. That West Elgin Council receives the agreement to purchase and sale for 294 Graham Street, West Lorne from Robin Greenall, CAO, and that Council directs the mayor and clerk to authorize the final agreement.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried. Confirming bylaw.
That bylaw 2025-24 being a bylaw to confirm the proceeding of the regular meeting of council held on May 8th, 2025 be read a first, second, third, and final time.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? That's carried. And that brings us to adjournment.
That the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby adjourn at 6:17 PM to meet again at 4:00 PM on Thursday, May 22nd, 2025, or at the call of the chair.
Hey, Mover. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you very much.